السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator and originator of the heavens and the earth. And upon the best of creation, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we send our salutations, him, his family, his companions, and those that follow them in goodness till the end of times. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us of many different signs in relation to Yawm al-Qiyamah. Many signs that would show us the nearness of the end of times. And one of those signs that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned is the coming or the presence of ar-ruwaybidah. In a time where deceit will become very prevalent, where someone who is truthful will not be believed, and someone who is a liar will be believed, and someone who is treacherous will be trusted, and someone who is trustworthy will not be trusted. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, in this time of deceit and deception, the ruwaybidah will speak. And so the Sahaba, they were like, who are the ruwaybidah? He said, الرجل التافه في أمر العامة. الرويبضة is ala wazn tasghir. Basically means someone very deplorable. He's a lowlife. He has nothing going for him. الرجل التافه في أمر العامة. The one who has nothing going for him, he has no knowledge and yet despite him not having any knowledge, yet despite him not having any qualifications, he speaks on all affairs. He speaks on things of religious matters, on political matters, anything. He can find anything. He can find a way to voice his opinion. He'll voice his opinion, and so I can almost say that this time has come, and we see this very prevalent in our day. You know, in Islam, we have this concept of honoring our scholars, of honoring the people that bear knowledge, because we believe them to be the inheritors of the Prophet. The inheritors of the prophets. إِنَّمَا الْعُلَمَاء وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاء, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that the scholars are those that have inherited and taken the tradition from the Prophet ﷺ, and that the prophets of God did not leave behind dirhams and dananirs or dollars. They left behind knowledge, and the scholars are those that have inherited it. And so we believe that these scholars, the ulama, in our regard, are those people that guide us to what is right and to take us away from what is wrong, to teach us what is halal, what is haram, and even beyond that, to teach us our priorities, because sometimes there are things that are better for us than things that are good. Priorities. A lot of people, they don't know fiqh al-awlawiyat, the fiqh of priorities, prioritization of things. Right? So our scholars are here to teach us and to help us and to guide us to Jannah and away from hellfire. And so we honor them and we exemplify them because we know their role and position for us in our salvation, not salvation, but guidance to what is true. And so what happens when these scholars are no longer given a voice, or they don't have a wide platform? You know, I could speak from my own personal experience that many of my shuyukh that are like literal oceans of knowledge, if you look at their subscribers on YouTube, is just students of knowledge. Really, like one of my teachers, every day he'll probably have like a Beth Mubashir of him either teaching Bukhari or Muslim or any of the Kutub al-Tis'a. Okay, all the people attending are students of knowledge. And many of my other shuyukh, they only have like maybe like 200, 300, 1,000, 1,500 subscribers. And yet there are people that are famous with millions of subscribers that do not have that level of knowledge. So what happens when these people aren't given their voice? Or if they're sidelined, or in countries in the Middle East, they're even exiled and jailed. What happens? The Prophet ﷺ says about this, إن الله لا يقبض العلم انتزاعا ينتزعه من العباد. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never take ilm and just by snatching it away. He'll take it away by ولكن يقبضه بقبض العلماء, by taking away the scholars from amongst our midst. You know, just in the year of COVID, we witnessed so many huge ulama, like we're talking about giants, pass away. Right? ولكن يقبض العلم بقبض العلماء حتى إذا لم يبق عالما اتخذ الناس رؤوسا جهالا, until there is no scholar left and people start to take juhal, ignorant people as leaders, and then they start to give fatwa from their back pockets, and they're misguided and they misguide others. And so what I wanted to speak about today is that speaking without knowledge, being from those people that speak without knowledge. You know, some of the scholars mentioned that there's three categories of people. There's al-ulama al-kibar, there are the people that we recognize as our scholars, and there's ammatun nas, the general people, the people that have a love for Islam and they want to practice Islam, and if they have a question in regards to Islam, they ask the scholars. And there's a middle category that have studied very little, that have touched very little of the Islamic sciences, and they start to what? They start to come up with their own religion. And they start to what? They start to say things related to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal that are not existent in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Or they start to make very dayiq, or they start to what? Make things seem very close-minded, as if there's only one opinion when there's a vast majority of opinions regarding that specific issue. And there's a proverb in Arabic, they say, نِصْفُ الْعِلْمِ أَخْطَرُ مِنَ الْجَهْلِ. That having half of knowledge, being a half-baked pseudo-charlatan scholar, having half knowledge is worse than being ignorant. Because when you're ignorant, at least you'll have the decency to ask when you don't know. But when someone is ignorant, not just ignorant, but ignorant of the fact that they're ignorant, and they say this is jahl murakkab, when they're ignorant of the fact that they are ignorant and they actually do not know, that is a very scary thing. Because when that happens, you'll find them speaking on matters related to deen and misguiding other people. They'll misguide themselves and they'll misguide others. And there are so many ayat in relation to this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in many ayat throughout the Quran, وَلَا تَقَفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. And do not take a position or do not stand in places where you have no knowledge in. مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. And many other ayat that I can mention, but there is also a hadith that is mutawatir, one of the most famous ahadith, because it was reported by a huge number of Sahaba. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, مَنْ كَذَبَ عَلَيَّ مُتَعَمِّدًا فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. Whosoever lies on my behalf, let him prepare a seat for himself in hellfire. فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. Let him prepare a seat for himself in hellfire. Because what? He is misguiding people. He is misguiding people. You know, there are people, sadly, within our own communities, that they get a glimpse of Islamic knowledge by watching a few lectures. You know, if they see a specific topic is being brought up, they start to search up every YouTube video. They'll start to search up every YouTube in relation to that topic and take all the information from people. You don't even know who these people are. You don't know their backgrounds. You don't know where they've studied. And then maybe they'll search it up on Google and see the first 2-3 answers. And they think because of that research, quote-unquote research, now they're able to answer questions. That's not a qualification to speak in matters of deen. Those are not qualifications. You know how serious of a matter it is to speak on the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal without knowledge? Yet it's become so prevalent today. You'll find people, when a fiqh mas'ala, something related to Islamic law or legal theory is brought up, they'll Google search it and then they'll answer right off their pockets. And these people have never read a fiqh book from cover to cover in their lives. You know how silly that looks? You know how silly that is? But it's become so common today. And so my reminder for myself and for you all is that if you do not have knowledge, don't speak. And inshallah, in the second part of the khutbah, I'll mention a few solutions to this, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم والصلاة والسلام على جوامع الكلم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. It is reported through Mirqat al-Mafatih of Mullah Ali al-Qari that Ali radiallahu anh, he once ascended the minbar and was asked a question and he said, I don't know. And he said, how can you say you don't know and you've ascended the minbar? He said, I've ascended the minbar based off of the knowledge that I have. If I ascended based off of how much I'm ignorant of, I'd be giving khutbah from the sky. Right? I'd be giving khutbah from as-sama. Right? So we have to realize that we are ignorant of many things. And so the best thing for us is to not speak. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, Man samata najah. Whoever keeps silent has saved himself. And aside from being silent on things that we are not aware of, we have to what? Seek knowledge. We have to make an effort to seek knowledge. It's important to rely on our scholars, but you also have to make an active effort in trying to learn the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal for yourself. You shouldn't be 100% reliant. Maybe 75-25 is fine, but you shouldn't be 100% reliant. You should have an effort to learning the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. So make an effort to learn, but also recognize that you have a place and a role to play. That there are some people that from the time they were small children, they have dedicated themselves to learning the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. That they committed to memorization of the Quran and memorization of ahadith and studying texts upon texts and all of the various Islamic sciences. So if you want to take the role of the mufti of the community and you want to take the role of the person, the scholar, then go ahead. By all means, tread the same path that they treaded. But unless you're willing to commit to that, then be quiet. Know your place. Know your place and know where you stand. I see way too often people will start to debate amongst each other on matters related to deen, but they've never read a book in regards to that subject matter that they're discussing. You know how sad that is? You know how stupid that looks? The fact that you're spending hours and hours and hours discussing a matter when you could have literally just read a book on the topic. It makes no sense. So let's try to make it make sense by making the effort to study, by making the effort to be humble when we don't know and asking those that know, and again, to be quiet on things that are above our pay grade, things that are above our understanding. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة